Hey friends, welcome to another edition of Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. Yes, that is the right name. I do two podcasts, so every once in a while I get them screwed up. But anyway, maybe I've already got my stupidity out of the way. I have Jonathan from the band Guides, and Guides is a modern, or wait a minute, is that right? Is that the name of the band?
Yes, guides. Yep.
Okay, so what's the name of the single?
Drain.
Dream. Okay. I've got my notes wrong already. So yes, we just got started great.
Right.
Anyway, Guides is a modern hard rock band blending the textured aggression of new metal with emotional depth of post-hardcore, delivering a sound built on heavy riffs, atmospheric layers, and melodic intensity. The band has quickly risen through the regional heavy scene, sharing stages with Seven Dust, Taproot, Cold Orgy, and Attack Attack, while building a reputation for raw, high energy live performances. With their debut EP that came out in 2023, When Everything Reverses, and new material on the horizon for 2026, Guides continues to evolve into a more focused and emotionally driven force in heavy music. Jonathan Joseph is here to talk about the powerful new single, and my notes still say Drain, so sorry. Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
Drain.
that drain's right. Yeah, drain's right.
It has been a long weekend. Anyway, welcome to the
I
show,
know. I
Jonathan.
know.
We'll just go from there.
Yeah,
So, tell us about Drain and what the inspiration was behind it.
sure. Yeah, happy to do that. So Drain is our first new music that we've released in 3 years, right? So that in itself is exciting for us. But we're super proud of the product and how it turned out. Because it's a real. If you listen to our EP from 2023, Drain is going to be an elevation in every way, right? So creatively, the production value, sonically, and it's just a much more focused. Like this time around, we did this with intention, right? So our EP in 2023 was kind of a proof of concept, self-produced. We recorded it in our practice space, so it sounds okay, and the songs are okay. But this was done much more professionally from the beginning. We worked with Z-Rock, Zach Diebels, the guitar player from Simon Says. If everyone remembers them from the early 2000s, they were on Hollywood Records. But I was a huge fan of them growing up, and it just worked out. And we can tell that story too. But it just worked out that we ended up connected with Simon Says early on, and played a festival with them. And Z-Rock, we had a conversation that he was producing and looking for bands to work with. So we kept in touch, and it was about a year-long process from the time that we engaged and decided to work together. He was involved with the writing of the song, and kind of the structuring of it. And we worked for about a year to kind of get it to where we were ready to produce it. And so and then we ended up doing 3 songs together. So there's actually more music coming. But Drain itself is if we talk about what inspires it, it's definitely our heaviest song up to this point. And so that's also exciting, right? Because we kind of, once we started figuring out who we wanted to be, we definitely got heavier in the process. Um, it's very raw, right? Like we're a throwback to like, early 2000s new metal, and like, the what came after that in post-hardcore, where bands weren't using tracks back then. There wasn't a lot of technology involved in the live show. So it's the energy that you got on stage and in the room was the however many people on stage playing their instruments. And that's not that we don't use tracks, but that's very much, who we are as a band. It's very raw and real. So that definitely reflects in the production. But the song itself is inspired by, it's very personal for me. Experiences that I've had, I guess, growing as an adult, and kind of getting further into adulthood, and realizing that, in a lot of situations, I'm 38 years old, that I'm in a lot of situations going to be the adult in the room, right? Or looked at that way. And so there's growth that has to happen, right? And as go through that get further into adulthood. And my observation, I guess, and experiences that I've had is that not everybody grows at the same rate, and not everyone really chooses to grow, right? And when we're not talking about size and age, we're talking about emotional depth and emotional growth and how you show up and participate in your relationships with people and just growing up, I guess, to put that in air quotes. Not everyone chooses to grow up. And so that impacts relationships and literally people grow apart, right? Because of that. And seeing that play out, I think, as an adult and losing people in the process is very painful, right? And can be very painful and hard. So that's the emotion of the song, and I think the anger of it, but also for myself personally, like, there's like just kind of reflecting on my own growth and that I've made a different decision, that like I am going to try to experience life to its fullest and grow in every way that I can, even if it's painful. So there's kind of a self-reflection there, but there's also kind of a commentary on what I've observed around me.
That is great. We all know plenty of people who don't ever really grow up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm saying that as a musician who in a lot of ways I'm 12 years old, but that there's a balance, right? Like you can still have fun and you can still be young at heart, but like there's a life is very real, and so when you need to be a mature adult, you need to be able to be a mature adult, and so that's uh, you know that's the kind of what that's exactly what the song is kind of exploring and commenting on.
Well, that's pretty good. I'm going to read from your press release.
Yeah.
Um, Known for merging the textured aggression of new metal with the emotional urgency and nuance of post-hardcore, Guides continues to refine a sound that balances heavy, groove-driven riffs with layered atmospheric and melodic intensity. Can you describe what that means to you personally?
Yeah, sure. So, I think I mean, I think people identify most with influences, right? And like, can identify bands or whatever. I grew up in the like that early 2000s, like that transition from like Ozfest to Warp Tour, right? So like I was kind of a fan of both of those things, right? So I always tell people we're Taproot's my favorite band. If you're familiar with Taproot, we're Taproot if merged with Finch, right? So we have that like heavy, like textured kind of darkness of new metal, right? But we are a little bit faster and we play with a little bit more tempo, and we have that kind of like lyrically and I think energy wise and just melodically kind of fall more in that like Thursday, Finch, AFI um, realm of things. So that's kind of our split. I always wanted to, I know that these festivals don't exist anymore, but like let's pretend we're 20 years ago. I want to be the band that can play Ozfest but also play Warped Tour, right? And
Right.
that's all of those words that you read are kind of the deep explanation of what that how that translates sonically, but to me that's what it means. It's we're blending those two sounds in a way that I think is it identifiable to people that like both, because we've gotten everyone's hard to tell you who they remind you of, right? And we get a lot of Taproot, but we've gotten Finch, we've gotten AFI, we've gotten Thursday, and but that was always intentional, right? I always wanted to position our sound so that you know if these festivals existed, we could play Ozfest or we could play Warped Tour.
Right. Speaking of AFI, I do want to give their bass player a good shout out. I'm in a cover band and we do a lot of heavy songs. We do a lot of pop songs that we turn into heavy songs. But one of the songs that we do is Miss Murder.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh.
I'm the bass player, and that was a bitch to learn.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I think. that's another thing about our sound that, is common in a lot of the, references that I mentioned, that the bass carries the melody in a lot of their music, right? So it's not, yeah, it's not really bass driven, it's guitar driven music, but the bass isn't just playing root notes. Like it's providing a lot of the melodic structure to the song, and where the bass is the most important instrument to how our songs are written, and again, it really carries the melodic structure.
Yeah. So where is Guides located, or where are you based out of, and who are the members of your band?
Sure. We're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, we that's home base. But we there's three of us that are full-time core members of the band. It's myself. I'm the vocalist. Our drummer, Tim Evans. Right now, we're our Zach Hess is our bass player when we play live, but he's kind of splitting duties right now between guitar and bass. For whatever else we're doing. Um, we're kind of in a with I guess to get into this, I can get into this a little bit, but during production, we had to make a lineup change involving our guitar player. So we're still kind of keeping our those plans, you know, close to the chest at this point. So right now it's really the three of us in terms of the public form of the band, but we and when we play live, it's always a full band. There's four of us on stage, so just kind of not ready to announce next steps or our plans for guitar at this point. But intention is to at some point be a fully formed four piece again.
Right. Anybody that has ever been in a band has been in the same position.
I've come to learn that, and I've also, I'm fortunate at this point to be surrounded by a network of people that I've met in the last 3 years that have kind of been there, done that, right, and been through all of this, including our producer. And like what happened to us was unfortunate, but I've come to learn that it is very common, and especially when you get to the point where you're trying to push up to another level and do bigger, better things, is you're gonna lose people along the way. And so yeah, that's
Well, you can probably incorporate the emotional maturity and part of that into that as well.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Which
I,
kind of
I
makes the song a little more bittersweet, maybe.
no, I will say this about it. Yeah, the song Drain in particular took on a deeper meaning and an expanded meaning, not just to me, but to the whole band while we were producing it. And so yeah, there's a lot of a lot of that is reflected in kind of how the song is being presented at this point. But yeah, that is uh, in a way a response to what happened, but at the same time the song was already written, when it happened. So but it's a funny thing about songwriting, I think. And I think any art can this can happen with any art, but particularly songwriting, because it involves words, and that, and if it's not just telling us the way that songs are written are usually universal enough that their meanings can change and evolve over time. And I think that's what's cool about it, right? And it's important as the artist because we have to keep playing them, right? And so it's better if they continue to mean something. But even for a fan, right? Like I can use Taproot as an example. Their material has kind of always like the meanings of those songs have always changed for me, no matter what's happening in my life, but they always seem relevant. And it's I think that's when you connect with songs, that's why, because their meanings can grow with you.
Absolutely. I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up again. Guides is not reinventing itself, but refining its purpose with a sharper vision and deeper understanding of what their music represents. So, does that mean that your new material is a departure from the debut single, or just that it's produced differently?
Um, I would just it's produced differently. I think that so the songs in our original EP, when we got to the point of recording them, they had been written 10 years before in like 2014, right? And if you kind of think about what happened, what was going on with rock music at that time, it really wasn't cool to be heavy. It was kind of more in that era where bands like Thrice and again a band that I love, but it went away from what we are, right? And that way, whether it wasn't cool to be a heavy new metal band in 2014, it got a little bit more, I think, indie sounding, and there was kind of an evolution in what was going on with rock. So we were trying to be something different because the band existed in 2014. We weren't really, it was a different thing, but we weren't really trying, we were trying to follow that, right? We weren't really, we were trying to not be heavy on purpose. We did a lot of weird experimental things just to kind of be weird and experimental with that material. And it actually was, uh, so just long story short, we were in 2014, that's when we formed. It was a different lineup. It never really materialized. We played a few shows. We never got to record. Um, uh, Everyone kind of went their separate ways. I held on to the material, and then in early, like right before the pandemic, I decided to reform the band, new lineup. We got going, but then the pandemic hit. So everyone kind of has that story, right? But we kept going, we kept writing, we kept kind of developing things. And the first step was just to take the material that we had and get it recorded. So it was really just a proof of concept. We just wanted to get something out so that we could start playing. And it was actually a challenge to record those songs because of the weirdness. So we stripped a lot of that out, but we kind of just rolled with what we had. And then from there, once we started playing out, and now we're in 2023, where Limp Bizkit just put out a new record, Taproot just put out a new record. Like it all came back around. Where like I think just music, everything has its place now, right? Because it's all streaming. Everything kind of everyone can go find what they want. So
Right.
I think new metal's back, but I don't think it's gonna like go away the way it did before. So at least I hope not. But at least we where we came back in 2023 and started playing out was the perfect time to be doing what we were doing. And so we're like, okay, we can be who we like. This is what we are now. What we're putting out now is who I am and who Guides was always meant to be. And we feel like we can be that now. So we just leaned into it and just went for it. And so I think that's the evolution of it. I don't think that it's a departure from. I think it still sounds like if you're listening to the new stuff and the old stuff, it's still going to sound like Guides, but it's just going to sound like we leveled up. I think that's the simplest way to put it. And
Sounds
that was
good.
the goal.
Do you have any plans to tour this or play any festivals to promote this new release?
I mean, we're playing shows regionally. It's kind of the issue right now is kind of the lineup thing, right? I think if we had our full lineup ready to go and ready to rock, we would be aggressively trying to, be planning more like regional touring, and even if it's just like weekender type of stuff. We're playing it a little slow right now, and when it comes to a live show, to make sure that we give these releases the proper due, because it's kind of different now, right? Like there's like the digital side, there's the internet, what you're doing there, and then there's the live stuff, and they're both important, but they're kind of two separate things. Yes, we need to get out and be playing more, especially outside of Pittsburgh. But right now, it's kind of one step at a time. And I would think that more in the fall, going into next year, we will pick up that activity. But that is absolutely the goal and the plan. Um, but we're just, again, we're kind of being cautious about those plans until we really get our lineup situation figured out.
Well, that's pretty fair. Is there anything that you would like to mention before we wrap this up?
Yeah, so Drain is out right now everywhere on all the platforms. Our next single is actually coming out June 17th. It's called Failure Defines. So that will be if follow us Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, anywhere anywhere you can find us, follow us, TikTok, and obviously go find Drain and listen to that. But the next song, Failure Defines, will be out in a couple weeks on June 17th.
Right on. Mention your website so people can just go from there.
Yeah, sure. It's guidesmusic.com, Guides music.com. And yeah, everything is there. All the links to everything. You can actually hear the song there as well. And the music video for Drain, I should not fail to mention this, is actually going to come out this week at some point. So we'll also be, pushing and promoting that as well. And that will be on the website too. So lots coming. We actually have a third single coming out in July from this batch of songs, and we're hoping to get back in the studio with Z-Rock early in the fall and do another batch and just keep going.
Right on, Jonathan. We'll take thank you for your time, and I look forward to hopefully catching you on a stage somewhere soon.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
All right, peace out, people. Thanks for listening to Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast outlet. Visit BigAlRocks.com to find past episodes, on-demand links to my radio show, links to my social media, and other Big Al shenanigans. Most importantly, please like and share this episode. Peace out.